we've seen teams do this before where they do not necessarily have the size to match up to Yoki, right? They try to pull her out of the paint, be able to bust a move and get to the basket. And so where it's important, where K-State can find its advantage, like I said, obviously size. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Run It Back. I am your host, Jazsmin Halliburton on KCSN, and I love to see y'all again because guess what? Your Lady Cats is going dancing. We all knew what was up. We knew that these Lady Cats was going to be in the tournament from Jump Street, right? But I know the final question of the end of the regular season and, of course, the end of the tournament, the Big 12 tournament, is where was K-State going to go? Were we going to get the 4 seed? Were we going to be able to host? Or were we going to get the 5 seed and we're just going to have to miss out of the host just because of the lack of production towards the end of the season, right? It was a little bit bottom heavy. But case may be, K-State's 5th seed. Don't get to host. It's a big disappointment, but doesn't matter. No matter where you are, no matter where you go, you're going to have to perform. Because, like I mentioned a week ago, it's one and done from here on out. This is where things get serious. We know we're not unfamiliar with March Madness. We know what type of time it is when the clock strikes 12, at the end of February, right? This is something that every single, obviously basketball fan, but just any fan in general, this is where new fans come about, is the time right here, right? So clearly exciting times, and this K-State team is ready for it with our very own Ayoka Lee coming back. Coach Minnie talked about her the other day, saying that she'll be near 100% when tournament starts, which will be Friday, 1:30 against the 12 seed Fairfield. That's going to be in Kentucky. All right, so that's who was able to get the host. That was the 4 seed Kentucky. So that's where the Cats will play. That will be their first opponent on the docket for lack of a better word, very difficult side of the bracket. But we'll get into that. We'll get into that. But of course, it is very, very great for the Lady Cats to be able to play in this tournament and still be a high seed in this tournament. Yes, I understand, didn't get the host, but got to host last year. Of course, I didn't get past the second round, which is very usual for this team. It's unfortunate, but another year, another opportunity, right? Another year, another opportunity. Now we got to see what they can do with it. But you can't do all that talking, all that future talk, without looking at your opponent first. It's March. Crazy things happen. You got to focus every single day. And it's not like I know I'm preaching to the choir here. Everybody knows what they need to do. And their assignment is Fairfield. Like I mentioned before, 12 seed. The MAAC champions, back-to-back champions at that. Their record, I think the last 2 years, I want to say, is kind of insane. I think they're like, 56-4 or something like that. Either way, this is a team that knows how to ball. Yes, they've had 59 wins in the past 2 seasons. Yes. 45-1 record against their conference opponents. So this is a team that knows how to score. And this is a team that knows how to win. You'd expect nothing less in the NCAA tournament. We all know. Everybody can win. Everybody can score. That's majority of the reason why they're here. Right? This is no number 1 seed Cinderella story for their conference. They've been good for the last 2 seasons straight. Right? They have been good. So I was able to do a little bit of scouting for Fairfield, right? I know we're in a bracket with Kentucky, and that's going to be a whole other thing. We're in a bracket with USC. We're in a bracket with UConn. Things are going to get hairy, right? Assuming, K-State keeps winning and keeps moving on, right? But you still, once again, you got to focus on who's in front of you, and that's going to be Fairfield. Now, obviously, I just mentioned a little bit of their accolades as a team, back-to-back conference champions, 59 wins the past 2 seasons. They know what to do with it. They know what to do with the ball. Leading scorer is Megan Anderson. I watched a little bit of their championship game. I forget who it was. Quinnipiac, I think it was against them, where they got that championship, won by a lot. I think Fairfield, she went stupid in that game. She's their leading scorer. She averages 15 points a game, 4 rebounds, 38% from 3. All right. Someone clearly, you got to watch out for. But the thing where K-State would have the advantage in this game, like they do in a lot of games, is their size. It's their size, right? I'm looking up and down the roster for Fairfield, and their tallest player is 6'2", and Carly Fisher. Now I'm not fully sure how much work this Carly Fisher gets. I was looking at their stats and everything yesterday, so I need a little bit of a refresher on how many minutes that she's able to get, how many opportunities that she's able to get, and things of that nature. And she's only a sophomore, so it can't be a whole lot. But your tallest player, 6'2", right? Our tallest player, 6'6", and she might be a little bit hungry for a dominant game. We saw that outlook of it when she was able to come back a little bit against KU before she re-injured her foot. This is an opportunity for Yoka to eat. We know every opportunity that she gets on the floor, it's an opportunity for her to eat, right? But that's offensively, right? That's offensively. You put her down the post, assist numbers finna go up, right? But gotta look at it defensively. She's locked down in the paint. We understand that. But Fairfield, they play small ball. They play small ball. And we've seen teams do this before where they do not necessarily have the size to match up to Yoki, right? They try to pull her out of the paint, be able to bust a move and get to the basket. And so where it's important, where K-State can find its advantage, like I said, obviously size. 1v1 defense got to be solid. 1v1 defense got to be solid, because now if they pull Yoki a little bit outside of the lane for the most part, you got guards, you got forwards that's obviously faster than Yoki. You got a clear lane because she's not in there to be that brick wall that she always in. Your one-on-one defense got to be solid. You got to make sure you pay attention so back cuts aren't an opportunity. We've seen it time and time again. K-State has done it to other teams, right? So 1v1 defense got to be solid. I can't say that I'm not too worried about it. Their 1v1 defense has gotten really, really good, especially in Yoki's absence. That's just something that's going to have to be turned up. And of course, considering that this is the NCAA tournament, this is March Madness, you would hope energy level is going to be turned up, because everybody else's will. You don't think Fairfield is going to be licking Nate chops at trying to get on to the next round? I read one of their articles on their website as how the number that they remember is 22, because I think that's how many points they lost to by Indiana in the first round of the NCAA last year, right? That's something that's been on their mind. That's something that they've thought about. Or no, I lied. It's even worse. 33. They lost by 33 points to Indiana, and that's a number that has been motivation for them for the season. So don't think that anything's going to be sweet in the first round. We know everything after that, things get hairy. We know. We understand. But don't let this fool you. Don't let their small ball fool you. Don't let you guys are much bigger fool you. You got to be on your P's and Q's when it comes to March, baby. We know this. We all understand this. So obviously, that's something that you could think about. That's probably the game plan. That's something that Coach Mitty is probably talking about. And when that straight up defense, that's going to be able to help, because I mentioned this team likes to score. They've won 37 straight games when scoring over 70 points. That's, like I mentioned, a team that knows how to put the ball in the hoop. You have Megan Anderson being able to do a little something to it. You have Katie, Lemereau. Hopefully I pronounced her name right. She leads their team in steals, right? This is a team they'll take an opportunity. They'll take an opportunity. Their opponents average 54 points per game. They, as an offense, they average 9 3-point makes a game, 17 assists, 46.4% from the field overall. Like I said, this is a team that knows how to score. Yes, they're smaller in size compared to K-State, but we've seen teams that are smaller and be able to be a little bit quicker. We've seen how that goes. We've seen it with West Virginia comes to mind. Now, I'm not saying that this is the same team as West Virginia. We already know, but a smaller and faster team, you know how things can go when it comes to that, especially when we didn't have Yoki. But Now, Cats have Yoki. This is something that they can do. 1v1 defense, solid 1v1 defense when they're probably trying to pull Yoki out of the 3-point line. You know, this team, K-State, likes to switch, right? Got to be aggressive on closeout defense. I already just mentioned they average 9.3-point makes a game. Just gotta get an opportunity. Okay? Gotta have that opportunity. And especially providing weak side help in the lane. Because, you know, like I mentioned before, pulling Yoki out, opportunity for back cuts. Who's going to be able to still keep their head on a swivel and bring some weak side help? And who's going to be able to rotate over to if they try to kick that out to the 3-point or when they're trying to get the shot fake, right? It's collective ball. It's collected. They're being collective. In case they got to be collected on defensive end, and everything's got to work vice versa. Everything's got to work vice versa when it comes defensively, right? And so that's the defensive side of the ball. K-State's got the size. K-State needs to really dial in on their 1v1 defense. Weak side help, right? Now, offensively, their size, once again, is going to help on both sides of the ball, right? This doesn't seem like the kind of game where they need to rely on their 3-point shot. We know how good of a 3-point shooting team this has been, but especially, let's say last 9-10 games. Live by the 3, die by the 3, right? When they're winning, they are shooting what? Damn near 50% from 3. They're knocking them down. They're making 9 to 10 3-pointers a game, somewhere around that range. When they're losing, they're shooting less than 25% from 3. It's live by it, die by it. That's been the kind of the recipe to the sauce, especially later in the season, right? This doesn't seem to be the game where that's going to be necessary because they have the size, because they're going to be able to get to the basket, obviously because they're going to have Yoki in the paint being able to do what she does and draw a lot of fouls because once again, their biggest player is 6'2" and she is 6'6". Okay, or she's our 6'6" queen. So those are the opportunities here. K-State has a week really to determine what they're going to do to game plan. Fairfield has the same amount of time to game plan as well. K-State plays Fairfield 1:30 on Friday on ESPN News. Okay, so now we have that. And after this break that I'm about to tell you, we're going to go over a little bit of what we got going on in this bracket and who K-State could potentially be facing next after they focus on whoever's in front of them. Right? But before I do all that, we got to give a shout out to homefieldapparel.com. They got a whole new rollout of things. They got some retro. They got other universities. They got women's basketball kind of styles coming out now. Go ahead. Give them a look. Her shirts, hats, hoodies, whatever you might need for whatever school you might want to rep or your friends may want to rep. Go ahead and give them a visit and we'll be right back on Run It Back.
Looking for tickets for your next event? Tickets for Less is your #1 source. Save big on every purchase when you use promo code KCSN at ticketsforless.com.
Success in real estate takes more than vision. It takes the right financial partner. When someone takes something rundown and turns it into something great, that's called a comeback story. Like Bryan Group. They take distressed properties here in KC, completely rework them, and then turn them into valuable real estate. But that kind of work needs the right bank behind it. Enter Emprise Bank. They're not about cookie-cutter loans. They saw Bryan Group's vision, backed them, and now they're making big moves in Kansas City real estate. Talk about your partner impossible. Emprise doesn't do one-size-fits-all financing. They invest in potential and back growth. Visit emprisebank.com/KC to learn more. Emprise Bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender.
Welcome back. Welcome back. You know, I already mentioned everything that went on with Fairfield, who is going to be the first opponent. 12C Fairfield, they're going to be playing on Friday, once again, 1:30 on ESPN News. So don't want to miss that. But okay. I feel like I'm going to contradict myself a little bit. How I say you don't want to focus too much into the future. You want to focus on who's going to be in front of you right now. Right now. But just say, indulge me, entertain me a little bit. Say K-State's able to make it do what it do, right? And assuming that, because normally the women's bracket is a little bit different than the men's bracket when it comes to upsets. it's not going to be all that often that you see a 16 seed beat a 1 seed, or you have a 12 like a 13 seed beat a 3 seed, or things like that. You usually know who's going to end up in the Final Four, or who's going to end up in championship games. There's not a whole lot of Cinderellas. I'm not saying it's impossible. We understand. We've seen them in the past, but say K-State gets the job done on Friday, Lord willing. Hear my prayer. Who they play next, who I think would win, would be Kentucky. Now, mind you, K-State does not get to host. Kentucky gets to host. So we make it to the second round. We play Kentucky, assuming they make it to the second round. But I mean, they play what? They play Liberty on, when do they play Liberty? I think on that Saturday. 13 seed, Kentucky's 4. They host. Do I want to say that they would actually lose to Liberty on their home floor in the first round of the playoffs? I cannot say for confidence that they would lose. I can't. They're a 4 seed for a reason. They're in the SEC. They have really good players. Georgia Moore, she's a baller. She averages 20 points a game. They got a new head coach, I think, from the Big East. Hopefully, don't quote me on that. But Kentucky's good. They deserve to be that 4 seed. Yes, I know there could be a lot of arguments. K-State was really hoping to be the 4 seed to be able to host. I mean, when you technically look at it, Kentucky, they have a 22-7 record, 4th in the SEC. K-State has a 26-7 record, also 4th in the Big 12. But the biggest reason that Kentucky got this hosting bid is obviously, they got 22 wins, 7 losses. They beat some good teams. They have good wins on their record. Beat 19 Illinois early on in the season. They've beaten Alabama, ranked 22, Oklahoma ranked 13th. Let's see. They beat Tennessee, which is a big one, who was ranked number 11. Now, their losses come from number 3, Texas at the time, who has been ranked number 1. South Carolina and Oklahoma, they lost the second time around. They have much better wins in their resume. K-State's best win this season was TCU. Now, they had opportunities. At the end of the season where we've faced back-to-back ranked opponents with West Virginia, with Baylor. And now I feel like I'm missing somebody, but K-State had their opportunities. Unfortunately, the ball didn't bounce that way, right? So if it would have went down to one game, probably it was close. They didn't just want to put K-State as a hosting seed just because Yoki is back. It would have been great, but let's be real. You have number 1 seeds complaining that they should have been the number 1 overall seeds. You got some people upset for the number 1 seed should have been a lot better. So a lot of people, probably Kentucky fans, would be upset if K-State was going to be able to host with how this season ended compared to maybe theirs, right? That's not going to be, because if it was the other way around, we'd be pissed. So it's fair for Kentucky to host, but still, with all that being said, say K-State does face Kentucky, like I said, Georgia Moore averaging 19 points a game. This is a team they finished 4th in a very, very tough SEC. A very tough SEC. The SEC has been the best conference in the country, and I hate to say the men's as well, but the SEC got it this year. They got it this year, so they very much well deserve to be hosting. And now kids, I'm not scared. I'm never gonna be scared, but I mean, the matchup of K-State and Kentucky, it does make me sweat. It does make me sweat a little bit. You know what I mean? Their tallest player is a freshman from Portugal at 6'7", to be able to match up with Yoki, with Carla Silva. See, she averages 5 points a game, 13 minutes. So she gets a little bit of playing time here and there. It's going to, obviously, when you're guarding Yoki, it takes a collective effort. Their next tallest player looks to be 6'5", who I think who gets a little bit more of that playing time. Yeah, averaging 15 points a game, 9 rebounds. So essentially averages a double-double. She's able to get past the ball around. She averages 2.6 assists per game, 48% from the field. Right? She gets her opportunities, but I'm more so like about the guard play. Very good. Georgia Moore. She's been good. I think she might have came from Virginia. She's a transfer. Might be her first or second year with Kentucky for the most part, right? That matchup screws me. It does. Everyone's got to be on their P's and Q's, like I mentioned before, how you always got to be when you are playing in March. Say they do. Y'all want to know who they would possibly have next? Like I said, when you're making your predictions for the NCAA tournament on the women's side, upsets are seldom, especially when it comes to number 1 seeds. Say we win. We beat Kentucky. Move on. Second to the Sweet 16. Damn, that'd be great. Who would we face? None other than Juju Watkins and the USC Trojans. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, that's great. I mean, just the best damn player in all of women's college basketball. And has for essentially last 2 years. Yes, I know. Caitlin Clark was in the mix last season. But Juju Watkins as a freshman, she raised her hand and be like, baby, don't forget about me. And girl, how can we? How can we at that bun? You hooping every time. Both ends of the floor. Damn. But that be K-State's next opponent. Now, K-State's good. But when you watch these teams like USC, UCLA, Notre Dame, South Carolina, UConn, you can see the difference when it comes to like players, bro. You can see rosters of McDonald's All-Americans. K-State gets one. Inspires the next season. You know what I mean? We get one, but I mean, you got rosters. You got benches of McDonald's All-Americans. They're good. Now, I mentioned before, March is meant for madness. You never know what could happen. For K-State to get to the Sweet 16 and be able to take it to USC, luck's got to be on our side a little bit. There's got to be some upsets on the other side of the bracket to help K-State out a little bit to get really far. Because, once again, hypothetical. Indulge me. Say K-State beats USC. Say they do. Because I don't see USC losing to, what is that? University of North Carolina, Greensboro, or Cal or Mississippi State in the second round. I don't see them losing any of those games. But say get there, Sweet 16. Say K-State plays them. Say K-State wins. Who would K-State play in the Elite Eight? Probably UConn. Yeah. Once again, now K-State or not K-State, UConn, they got a little extra. When it comes to their end of the bracket. Let's see, they have Arkansas State in the first round, and they play the winner of Oklahoma State and South Dakota State. We know them. And then on the up top side of the bracket, it's Oklahoma and Florida Gulf Coast University. Right? Oklahoma State can provide, I think, a tough matchup for UConn, but I think UConn would be able to get it. Right? I think they'd have it. So they move on. K-State would have to play UConn. Now, obviously, we get deeper, and everything seems just a little bit less likely. Because then I think UCLA, the other number 1 seed at the top end of another Spokane end of the bracket for the Final Four, probably UCLA. It's things that'll be real tough. It'd be real tough. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not gonna hold you. But that's March. You never know what the hell's going to happen. All we can do is really sit back, watch, hope for the best, and enjoy some basketball. Well, with that, I'll leave y'all to it. Hopefully, we'll be able to have some more conversation by Sunday. Be able to talk to you guys to talk about what really happened and see what went down. But until then, thank y'all for listening to me, and we'll be right back on Run It Back next week.